4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to another episode of the Ready, Set, Pwn podcast, your premier source for everything to do with the Vancouver Titans. I am Chris at Lightforce, the voice you are occasionally able to hear each and every week when you turn into our podcast. This is the first time, however, you'll have probably seen my face to go along with the voice, joined virtually by Sam at Another Sam Chan and Omni at Omni Strife. Welcome, gentlemen, to our first ever, this is not a joke, broadcast of the RSP podcast. I mean, this could be awesome. This could be awful. All I know is I am stoked. How about you guys?
I'm pretty stoked. I thought it working from home usually brings less pressure. Now I actually have to get a shower, shave myself a little bit, get the room prepared. Got the new chair in and mail today, so I'm pretty happy.
1 day shipping?
Yeah. You know, essential employees for real.
I realized that looking at your guys' rooms, it kind of looks like I'm in the back of a sport check.
You're in the back closet of a sport check. Let's make that very clear. I'll move my chair a little bit here. You can see all sort of the junk. One of the struggles is I'm currently in our den, which is also the storage facility for all the stuff we can't get rid of right now. Because again, we're in this world of social isolation and quarantine. Whereas at least Omni, I'm looking at his space. I mean, he's got all his Titan stuff up. We can see out the door now. I mean, the way the camera angles have all moved. So, just in case, anyone decides to walk by, they'll be live on air.
I think he's got mood lighting on.
Well, he does.
I do.
He does.
Which
He was.
color do you want? I can do any color, really. The green, I don't really like how it looks, but I think I'd keep it blue.
Well, it's funny. You have the mood lighting going. I believe if anyone actually follows the RSP Twitch account here, you should see my room blink purple. I mean, presuming I set it up correctly, I don't know.
Wink, wink.
But again, welcome to those of you who are tuning in for the very first time. Also, for those of you who are listening to our podcast, you're probably confused. What's this talk about a live show? Well, we started promoting it over the course of this weekend, and we decided that, the Vancouver Titans themselves, they haven't played a match since like 2017, or at least it feels that way. So what we're looking to do is something a little bit different. So the first thing I did is I reached out to the team. I'm like, hey, Alfred, hey, Tim, can I get you on? Talk a little bit about what's going on. I mean, obviously it's, things are changing. And they're like, oh, sorry, there's not much more we can say outside of these statements, of which we're going to talk about today. More news broke today. And then I was chatting with Omni, I was chatting with Sam, and we decided it was, time to take the masks off. And hopefully you're not, unsubscribing from our podcast right now, but instead, if you're listening and you're not watching, you'll tune in the next time we do it live, which really comes down to whether or not you, our listeners, you, our viewers, tell us as much.
And not only that, I think all we really had to do is to get news breaking on Tuesdays, just live streaming, so that
show your face.
Jeff and Pete can suddenly don't really have to wait for our podcast to break the news. Now they can do it on the same day.
Which, you know what, I gave a shout out to Titans Core that the Titans, shared that statement on a Tuesday, which is, again, the night we normally record. Normally all that news breaks the day after we go live. But to your point, yeah, Jeff and Pete, they did us a solid too. Live streaming, that's been the problem. The episode, though, isn't all about us live streaming. We are going to talk about the Vancouver Titans. We're going to talk about the Overwatch League. So let me give you a little bit of a rundown of what to expect us to converse about. The Vancouver Titans did not play this past weekend. We talked about it on the last episode a little bit. This is sort of what we had expected. Well, that's what came to fruition. I kid you not, moments after the episode went live. They don't play for quite some time. We'll talk a little bit about what we think they'll be up to over that period of time. And then some news about homestands, not only for the Vancouver Titans, but the Overwatch League itself. Add in all the usual conversation that we have about the week that was, the week that will be, and any other news that we can squeeze on in. But we're going to make this one a fun show, not only for those of you tuning in live right now on all the major broadcast platforms you can possibly find us on, but also for those of you listening to our podcast through those normal means. So, without further ado, why don't we get ourselves into the payload?
Moving the payload. Join me.
Now, for those of you tuning into the podcast, you normally get to hear the whole, moving the payload stuff. But for those of you who watched, hopefully online, you got to hear it too. I'm hoping you heard it too. Again, I'm trying to pay attention to chat as people are talking, as well as podcasting. But let's actually talk about what we normally do in the payload, and that is the Vancouver Titans. The Vancouver Titans were scheduled to play this weekend, as we sort of hypothesized, considering we knew they were heading to Korea, we knew they were getting out of Vancouver pretty darn quick, and we didn't figure that they would then play a team that's based in LA on short notice, and yeah, didn't happen. The Vancouver Titans did not play this weekend, neither did the London Spitfire. The New York Excelsior did not play for a variety of other reasons that we'll talk a little bit about in the fray. But as it stands, because the Vancouver Titans did not play, friend of the show, Scronine, has pointed out that they have played twice since, was it September?
Yeah, pretty much.
I think, we get to wait a little bit longer because they don't play until April 10, April 11.
The Light Force curse lives on. You actually
It's moved on.
Yeah.
It's moved. It's
it
shifting
evolves.
coasts.
It evolves.
I thought we talked about the Light Force curse being about my support of the Toronto Defiant, which again, we're going to talk about in the fray.
Yeah.
I thought the podcast curse was what was applying to the Vancouver Titans.
You keep trying to give it a different name, but it's still the same thing to me.
Multiple curses at play. But as I mentioned, yes, the Titans don't play this weekend. It is another weekend without seeing the likes of Fisher and Stitch, Somansu, Janu, what have you. We don't actually get to see them play until April 10, April 11. And when they do play, the three of us have a big decision to make. Because they're not playing at times that are all that conducive to those of us who, one, live in North America, but the three of us who happen to live in the West Coast in the metropolitan Vancouver area. So I'm going to ask you this. Are you going to stay up late to watch the Titans and go to bed? Are you going to wake up sort of midway through an evening, watch the Titans, go back to bed? Or are you going to do what Sam does and just ask us for the cool notes?
I will 100% get up. The game that's due to be played at 3 a.m., maybe I'll just get up later. For the one that's going to be played at 1 a.m., I'll definitely going to get up and piss off my neighbors. We'll see how that goes.
Hey, to be fair, sometimes I don't ask for the Coles notes. I write the story when the game is in the air. So no matter if they win or lose, I've got a story ready.
Yeah. I don't know what I will do. One of the things that I have to deal with that the two of you don't quite yet is the little one that is around. She actually sleeps in our bedroom. It's a one-bedroom condominium I live in. There's not a lot of space. So if I get up, there is the possibility that my little one will also wake up, which is then problematic. So I may stay up late. But see, the challenge is I could probably pull that for a 1 a.m. match.
Yeah.
But like a 3 a.m., I'm old man. I don't know how I'm going to do this.
3 is tough. But you can use this as an exercise to teach her. You know, this is what happens if you stay up late cramming for an exam. That's why you got to study ahead of time. You got to get it in early.
I don't know. I kind of survived just waiting for the last day.
Yeah. you know, I will figure that out as I go. I'm curious what you, our listeners, and those of you reviewing right now are going to do. Are you going to be, staying up late? Are you going to get up early? Are you going to watch the VOD? I mean, the benefit of it being on YouTube now and YouTube gaming is the fact that we can watch the VOD after the fact, but without issues. I found Twitch to be a little janky. But
or you could spend your time watching NBA players play Warzone.
Sure.
I'll pass that.
I mean, completely off the rails here. I just want to point out, Sam, that I went to your Twitch channel and you were streaming to a game called Warzone and not Call of Duty Warzone. So you weren't the only one, however. There are a ton of people who've typed in Warzone as the game that they were playing on Twitch. They got it wrong.
My surprise isn't that I got the wrong name. My surprise is that you logged in.
Well, no,
I
was doing a little planning for our stream here. I wanted to ensure I had everything right, so I checked your channel out, and I noticed that. Anywho, back on the rails. So the Vancouver Titans don't play this weekend. They'll be playing next weekend, so we have some time to get ready for that. And we will talk, and hopefully without any further craziness changes happening to the Overwatch League, actually get to give you a preview. And then not only that, have that preview come true. I mean, my camera's doing some funky things. It doesn't like my hands up there and me in a hand talker. But the other big news that broke today, the Vancouver Titans, as well as the rest of the Overwatch League, have canceled their not live events, but the in-person homestand events through the regular season. So whether you're a Titans fan or not, you're not going to a homestand between now and week 27, unless something changes again, which I guess is possible. But the Overwatch League has gotten ahead of this. They've decided we're just logistically not going to be able to make this happen. And I think it is a smart decision, considering how, just here in the province of BC, our premier had talked about, the requirement for social distancing and isolation taking place, not only for another week or two, but for potentially through the end of April and into May. I know the province of Ontario has canceled live events through to the end of June. And we're going to probably see a lot of that in other jurisdictions throughout the United States, throughout Europe. I'm not entirely sure how things will sort of play out in Asia. But, from a logistical perspective, the amount of money that is spent preparing for the event is now, saved. There is some money, unfortunately, you won't get back. But from an organizational perspective, I totally get it. Just to read the statement here that the Titans put out. It was Tim Holloway, who you've heard on this show, and we'll try to get on in an episode or two just to talk a little more about it. But it goes on to say that, while the outcome in the cancellation of both the May and July homestands was disappointing, the health and safety of all our fans, players, staff, and guests is paramount, and we fully support the decision. And again, the decision being the cancellation with the Overwatch League. Now, for those of you who have tickets to the May homestand, you will have those tickets refunded to you to your original form of payment through whichever processing platform you happen to pick them up through. I'm going to guess it was Ticketmaster Online, but if there was some of you that actually went down to the ticket office at Rogers Arena and bought those tickets in person, you'll need to go back down there to get your refund. Anyhow, thoughts on the cancellation of the homestands?
I was just thinking about getting a new keyboard so that refund will come in handy. But seriously, it feels better to actually just take off the Band-Aid, so to speak. We already talked about how we're probably not going to see the Titans play in Vancouver this year. We all knew that this thing is going to be more prolonged than originally planned. And I for one, am tired of having to update our spreadsheet every week for the bazillionth time. So, let's be done with it. We all knew it was coming. Better put all those resources that you just talked about into supporting, the teams and production. And we are lucky to just have the games and having the product. I mean, imagine if you could have that done in traditional sports. Well, they can't, but we have that privilege. So I'm just happy to see the games back.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely going to be disappointment. We've been talking about this, for pretty much since the beginning inaugural season of the Titans. So there's definitely going to be disappointment all around. But I guess I'm a little disappointed Titans didn't call it sooner. They waited for the league to kind of shut it down. They could have gotten proactive and in front of this, but they decided to kind of just wait for OWL. And it's not a huge deal, but we are where we are now. And now I think we get a little more consistency. We know all the games are going to be online. We know around what time the games are going to be around, and we can kind of just stop talking about, is this canceled? Is this going? The uncertainty that we've been living with for the last basically 2 months in terms of OWL stuff, I think it's going to stabilize a little bit. But I think we're going to mention in just a sec the playoffs and grand finals and all that kind of stuff is to be determined.
Yeah, and I figured we would talk about that more detail in the fray. But the point that you raised about the Vancouver Titans, waiting until OWL made the decision, I want to maybe give them some benefit of the doubt that Overwatch League itself was the one who gets to make the decision. It could be that the Vancouver Titans were able to influence as far as an organization is concerned, but ultimately the actual decision happening, I'm positive, it's Pete Vestelica and team that got to make that call.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure. And speaking of saved dollars, something that wasn't in the show notes is that we can now buy Vancouver Titans jerseys if you have $120 to spare, plus shipping, plus waiting, plus customs, plus COVID wipes, plus who knows what fees, plus Fanatics probably and most likely getting your number or name wrong or both.
Are you going to buy the Jaehong jersey for, was it number 41?
Yeah, so that's the thing is Jaehong still to this date. I linked something. If you're in our RSP court, if you're not, what are you doing, man? But I linked in one of the streams that he showed off his jerseys, and it's still the wrong number, and he mentions it's the wrong number in Korean, I believe. My Korean is non-existent, but he does like the jerseys, but that means that Jaehong himself doesn't have the right jerseys. So I don't see any way where we as peasants can get the right jerseys. You can make a custom jersey for another extra $15, but it seems kind of ironic to make a custom jersey of a team member. So I don't know. I'm torn.
It's the second year now that I've had my wallet in my hands ready to go. And then I see this post on Reddit, competitive Overwatch with Exe's jersey, I believe. Mm-hmm. And that
they
name
spelled it completely wrong.
That name is 3 characters. How many characters does Yu Jaehong have in his name? So I don't know.
I hadn't really thought about this. So first of all, as a Canadian, we're in a tough spot because we're already paying an exchange rate on those jerseys. It's a premium price for us. It's a lot of money. We have to pay for shipping. We have to pay for handling. We have to pay for duty. We have to pay for customs. We have to pay all these additional costs.
And now you got to pay for the Lysol spray, man. That's like another $6.
No, you can't get Lysol spray. I mean, in fact, maybe if Fanatics was smart, they'd start offering, complimentary toilet paper, and then sales would
3 months later
rock it out.
I wouldn't risk it with Fanatics.
The workaround that we used to have, for those of us in Metro Vancouver, we could actually have it shipped to, somewhere in Blaine, somewhere in Point Roberts, which is just across the border in Washington State. Run down there, pay a few bucks, pick it up. We can't do that anymore. We can't cross the border and go grab that type of stuff because it's not medical supply. It's not essential. So therefore, we're done. And if we could, by crossing the border, we then have to quarantine ourselves by law for 2 weeks. I'm not entirely sure grabbing a Titans jersey in the United States right now, just to avoid the shipping, the duty, and all that, makes sense. And I hate to say it, I want a Titans jersey. You'll notice I'm wearing just an Under Armour tee because I didn't have any Titans wear to wear. And fortunately, you've got a shirt. And in fact, is that one of the OG shirts that?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
My shirt's in the back somewhere.
So for those of you who are new to the Vancouver Titans, the OG shirts and merch that they had before everything went full on Fanatics, it's good quality stuff. Unfortunately, the transition to Fanatics, we have seen some hiccups, speed bumps, and other such issues.
Shenanigans.
Yeah, shenanigans. Oh, well. Plus, you'll get a Jaehong jersey misspelled with number 42 or whatever it is. 41.
Well, they're selling the ones with number 6 on it. So...
on the website.
Yeah.
I mean, they're nice looking jerseys.
So I'm torn. Maybe this week we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Spending all that hard-earned money on something just to get it shipped
pandemic money on the wrong jersey just doesn't seem right now.
How much was it? Like $2,000 from Mr. Trudeau? That could go into jersey or two.
Yes, exactly. Yes, the money that's supposed to keep you,
afloat,
alive with food in your fridge and your mortgage paid or whatever. I'm sorry, honey. We're gonna have to starve. But what do you think of my Jaehong jersey? It's phenomenal.
It's from Staple, guys.
I do need to point out, I'm not devoid of Titans merch. I have my exclusive Vancouver Titans Froster Cup from Circle K.
That goes well, matching the Erotzi gaming chair.
Yeah. So I just want to point out, this is not an ad. We're not being paid to influence. In fact, we'd love it, but as you can see, that's a real Erotzi gaming chair. In case anyone from Erotzi is watching, these are gaming chairs, but they're not Erotzi, and we understand that they're much better. So the question actually just came in for the live stream chat. For those of you who are listening, I did drink out of a Circle K Froster Cup. It is the full team. It is not just a bumper cup. It is the full team. It has bumper on it. In fact, it has rappel and
rappel.
Yeah,
they let rappel on the cups.
Is there rappel on the cup here?
For real?
Oh no, it's
shout out to our boy rappel.
No rappel, but it does have Hoorig. Oh no, there's rappel. Yeah, there's rappel.
Oh, you got both.
Yeah, no, it's on the
collector's edition.
Whoa, look at that! It finally turned purple. Those of you who don't listen or listening, you don't see it happening.
Wait, why did your lights turn purple? Is this like an 8 o'clock thing?
No, this is if someone actually follows us. It's only taking 7-10 minutes or whatever for the lights to start blinking.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
But now it looks like they're gonna actually stay purple.
Let me try and match that too.
Yeah, this again, we got best live stream ever.
And that's just the first one, so imagine how
I just have regular people lights, so that's good.
What the hell?
Looks like you found gold just now.
I did, didn't I? There we go. Okay, much better. Turn that down. I was just trying to get the purple off. Anyhow, you know what? We've had a lot of hijinks here in the payload, so we're going to take a short break before we go into the fray.
Join me. Is that the one? The line that he does.
We don't know. I think he's got music.
He's not with us anymore.
We don't know this, Chris.
Back into the fray.
For those of you who are listening in, you got to hear what you normally got to hear. I got to hear it. Those who are watching on the stream, you got to hear it. Sam and Omni did not get to
We're
hear
just
it.
sitting here like fools.
Usually the break is actually a lot shorter than this. Or I actually go, yo, it's time to take a piss. But this was neither here nor there.
You couldn't know, like, how is it safe to start talking or not? I'm not sure.
Yeah, like, do I pick my nose? Like, what's going on?
I could do some
you could. It'll be clipped.
I could log in and play some tiny Overwatch games in the meantime.
Well, in the fray, which for those of you who normally listen to us, you've come to expect that we're going to talk a little bit about the Overwatch League, Overwatch, all sorts of other odds and ends. For those of you who are tuning in live on whatever streaming platform you're watching us on, and this might be the first time you've seen us, that is what we're going to do. So let's talk a little bit about the week that was in the Overwatch League. So Omni here puts together our spreadsheet of stats, and I'm just going to quickly run through. On Saturday, we had the Shanghai Dragons beat the Guangzhou Charge 3-0. We had the Hangzhou Spark beat the Chengdu Hunters 3-2. We had the Toronto Defiant, not cursed because they beat the Boston Uprising 3-1. You had the Seoul Dynasty beat the LA Valiant 3-0, and you had the LA Gladiators beat the San Francisco Shock 3-1. Continuing on to Sunday, we had the Chengdu Hunters beat the Shanghai Dragons 3-0. We had the Guangzhou Charge beat the Hangzhou Spark 3-2. We had the Atlanta Reign beat the Florida Mayhem 3-0. We had the Seoul Dynasty 3-0, the LA Gladiators. And then you had SpongeBob SquarePants himself push the LA Valiant through 3-1 against the San Francisco Shock. So with all that out of the way, that was a crazy weekend. I mean, again, we didn't know exactly what to expect.
Yeah.
There were a number of teams that we had yet to see this season. We had a number of teams that hadn't played a whole lot this season. And yet, I would have never in a million years expected the San Francisco Shock to lose twice. Not only against the Gladiators, which you could say, okay, no, the Glads have shown. I mean, in the match against the Vancouver Titans, the Titans were successful, but the Gladiators were able to perform. But then they lost to the Valiant, and they lost to the Valiant. And again, I'm just looking at that one, or those two matches, the San Francisco Shock side, but there were quite a few, crazy matches taking place.
Yeah, I mean, it's so good to have Overwatch back. We waited for so long. It reminded me of that meme with Gordon Ramsay. Delicious, finally some good food. But yeah, there's a lot to talk about. Let's just start going through it. I mean, I'm still happy about hero bans, so let's get that out of the way. We got plenty of games with diverse metas. So Chinese teams are pretty entertaining as well. Lots of fresh looks in that side as well.
Well, they're playing a completely different meta.
Yeah, they're playing the rock, paper, scissors because Shanghai beat Guangzhou. Guangzhou beat the Spark. Spark beat Chengdu. And Chengdu just destroyed Shanghai. So what the hell is going on there? Hopefully when the Titans come over that side, we'll bring a huge gun to that rock, paper, scissors game of theirs. Prophet is still pretty good. That kid can play Overwatch pretty well. Glads versus Dynasty, I think, was pretty interesting because they actually had, to my point of the hero bans, for most of the game, they had 12 different heroes. You had like McCree May versus Doom and Tracer, Orisa and Sigma versus Ryan and Zarya, and finally Baptiste and Zen versus Brigana. So you had that weird, I don't know if you call it even like a dive meta with, well, I guess you do, with Tracer and Doom there against that Death Bolt composition that you saw from the Glads. And to your point of Toronto not being cursed anymore, I don't think they're fully unleashed from the clutches of the Light Force curse, because I feel like Boston's curse is probably a bit stronger than yours.
Boston is a curse.
I'm not going to talk more about that. You guys know what I'm referring to. Do the research on your own. Yeah. What else did we have? Atlanta Reign is better than Florida, but that's pretty boring to talk about because we all knew that. And the Shock are officially the worst team in California. I mean, they lost to the Valiant and the Glads, right? So they are now The worst team. Like, I don't know what's going on there. I would have been less worried about the Shock if it was kind of like a close match. And I guess the second match they played against the Valiant was a bit closer.
Mhm.
But they got just destroyed by the Gladiators, and they didn't look good. They didn't look good at all. And I think when we tried to nitpick when we did our power rankings, what could be like the downfall of the Shock, I'm not sure who said that, but at the end of the day, like, you cannot play all 12 players they have. So sometimes in that juggle of the depth of a team that they have, you might encounter some issues. And we already get some whiffs and rumors about Rascal being traded, but we don't know about that yet.
Coming to Vancouver, confirmed.
Yeah.
Via Seoul, because that's where Vancouver happens to be. I watched the Glad's Shock match, and I found it odd that what we saw from the Shock was essentially, sort of their GOATs lineup. And until Volskaya, it really wasn't working. And even then, on Volskaya, where it looked to me that they were actually going to start to turn the tide, I don't know if it's so much that they struggled, or the Glads just decided to wall up. But that draw, you could almost see that the Shock were like, oh my God, we're done. Like it took what momentum they had actually started to put together, it just took it completely away. And then, subsequently Gladiators, win the control next. So,
well, the weird part to me was like if you strip away the fact of the Shock factor, yes, pun intended, and you pretended it wasn't San Francisco versus LA, and it was like, I don't know, Boston versus Dallas Fuel or something like that, and we pretended it was those two names, like, it wasn't that interesting for me to watch. Like, I watched and I paid close attention because I wanted to see the Shock fail, but like, when you take that away, like, it didn't really feel that close. Like, I was a little surprised that Mirror outplayed on the Doom battle that bad, because Architect, from my memory, is a pretty decent Doom. But I don't know what's up with the Shock. It was like a completely different team than when they played on LAN in the first. Who did they play in the first map of the season? That was like ages ago, but like, they looked insane.
Let me look at that. Dallas. Well, it was Dallas Fuel.
It was Dallas, but Dallas gave them, like, good run for their money. Like, it was an exciting game.
Yeah.
So it was just really strange to see them like this.
I just looked at that spreadsheet of stats that Force referred to, and the stats are just the scores. But to me, like, what you said is resonating with what I think is like that. They do have depth and a ton of talent, but they're not really maybe as flexible as you want it to be, because you have the issue with for example, against the Glads, they had the Super at one point who can't really play ball, and then you got to flex them out. Then they brought in Smurf. Sinatra to play on the Zarya, and they brought in Smurf. On the other hand, you had Glads who just ran their thing. They had Rain, who played obviously the Doomfist, but they had Birdring, who played really well, but they got outplayed mostly in the tank matchup, because OGE and Space could play anything, and they played really, really well. So they didn't really have to make those weird adjustments and like, okay, what map are we doing right now? Oh, should we put Sinatra on the Zarya? And now with Rolock, you can't just like, okay, let's try and put Sinatra on Tracer for a while. You can't do that anymore. So it brings up a lot of weird like Rubik's Cube situation. Like, how do you play around with this talent, really?
Well, so to the point of the Shock, though, and we sort of saw this sort of manifest itself on Sunday. You got Choi Oben on the bench. You're losing the Doom fight. Why not bring, through substitution, Choi into the off tank position, move your, Sinatra over to, DPS so he can play Doom, that'll help. But I guess the counterpoint to that is, what is the variety of DPS characters that Sinatra can play compared to the likes of an Architect? Like, if you're all in on Doom, going full Chipsa here, and no problem. But I guess the counter is that, oh, well, look what happened. And then, you look at what the Gladiators were able to do and ultimately what the Valiant were able to do as well is more easily adapt.
Yeah.
Any other matches that you wanted to talk about there before we move on to the week that will be?
Florida Mayhem versus Atlanta Rain. Well, not really. I don't want to talk about that.
Come on.
The week that will be. First and foremost, thanks to Zoe's cat. I'm still blown away that's how locks occur. Wrecking Ball, McCree, May, and Brigida are all banned. Now, the May ban is probably the one that's being celebrated the most out of the lineup there. But with those 4 banned, that takes us into the weekend. And what we're going to be seeing from the league for our week, and again, this is kicking off on Saturday at 1 a.m. Pacific. That's where we happen to be, so that's the time that we start off. You've got the Shanghai Dragons versus the Hangzhou Spark, the Chengdu Hunters versus the Guangzhou Charge, the Toronto Defiant versus the Washington Justice. You've got the Gladiators, the Los Angeles Gladiators versus the Dallas Fuel. The Los Angeles Valiant taking on the Shock again, because we need lots of variety there. Mm-hmm. And then going over to Sunday, again kicking off at 1 a.m. Pacific, Chengdu Hunters versus the Shanghai Dragons, the Guangzhou Charge versus the Hangzhou Spark, Houston Outlaws versus the Paris Eternal, the Philadelphia Fusion versus the Washington Justice, and the Dallas Fuel versus the LA Valiant. Now, as far as the matches to watch, I only selected one. And that has more to do with because me getting up to watch. I'm not going to tell you to go watch a match that I won't. But I said to watch the LA Valiant to San Francisco Shock rematch. Oh, yeah. Like, I'm genuinely curious how this will go down. One, will the Shock come back and show that last weekend was just an aberration? Or is there an issue here? Omni, you said that's also the match to watch. Sam goes off the board, says he wants to watch Shanghai Dragons, Hangzhou Spark. So I expect that Sam will.
Maybe. It's at what? 4 a.m.? 1 a.m.?
1 a.m.
3 a.m.? We'll see.
Yeah, just stay up all night. You'll eventually see it. And then on Sunday, I did not choose a match because I'm just going to take that day off because I'm lazy. But Omni, you said to watch the Houston Outlaws versus the Paris Eternal. Mm-hmm. And Sam, you said Dallas Fuel, LA Valiant.
Toilet bowl time.
Why? Valiant are pretty good, though. I like the Valiant. KSP is so good right now.
Fuel almost beat the Shock.
True.
That's the thing.
Mm-hmm. I guess.
Almost wins are deserving.
Now, thinking about this prior weekend and about KSP's performance, we did mention Profit, but when you asked about like games that I wanted to discuss, I don't want to discuss the games, but Seoul is looking really, really strong. I just felt like I had to put it out there. Other than that,
that's true. They beat all the teams handedly.
They look amazing right now.
I mean, you look at Reinforce came out with his power rankings. He has the Titans at the top. If the Titans were number 2, because the Dynasty were ahead of them, I don't know many people that would argue. In fact, those that would be like, oh, well, this team and that team players match up, meta, what have you. Well, we haven't seen them play, and ultimately the Vancouver Titans, they haven't played. I mean, in my mind, yes, the Vancouver Titans are undefeated, great, but that doesn't mean squat considering what we've seen today. It's the show me what you've done lately.
Yeah, unfortunately, when they did the hero bans, I was hoping to see the Titans play next weekend because I think it's going to be Soldier Tracer again, which I think are capable of playing. But not only that, you're going to see Ryan and Diva, which I think is the best option for Fisher and John to play on. But unfortunately, we don't have that now. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Anna and Lucio, bread and butter for our Slime and Twilight. But we're going to have to wait. Pretty much it. I mean, I'm looking forward to Paris and Houston, which I didn't really address yet. But these two teams seem to be on a upwards trajectory, so to speak. They used to be that weird matchup that I didn't really care about, and now they look better. Especially Paris is looking pretty strong.
Is Houston's break already over? I thought they were supposed to have this long break.
Well, with the schedule, we did have a huge break just because of all.
I was gonna say, why would Houston have a long break? Like,
no, after they won that first 2 games, they were like, "Yo, we're not gonna play for like a month." I guess it's been a month.
It's just because you're not watching games. You're like, are they playing? Are they not? For me, it felt like an eternity.
I mean, let's be honest here. I'm never staying up late at night thinking, "Oh, did Houston play?" This has not happened once in my life. Sorry, guys.
Well, they got Rappel now, so you got to follow.
Does he play?
Yeah, he does. He does quite often, more than he played on the Titans for sure.
Yeah. The reason I didn't pick a Sunday match, because I for me it would have been one of the matches out of Asia. It's just unfortunately at a crazy hour, and if it's not the Titans, I'm not even going to contemplate staying up or getting up. This whole body just can't handle it.
What are you guys going to talk about if I just don't show up for like next episode?
Well,
Basketball?
Sam, okay, heck no, we're not going to talk about basketball while I'm here. Music, movies, I don't know. Sam and I could.
What movies have you watched lately?
Oh, I've watched a ton. I
have not watched any.
Letterboxd, I've just discovered this website, and I'm going decade by decade every film that we didn't see, like a good one that we didn't see. It's amazing.
Yeah, way to take it off the rails. You'll probably notice that the New York Excelsior aren't involved, and that's because they've withdrawn from the Overwatch League for the time being.
The ultimate sandbagging move. Just don't play.
Now, the reason behind this is that the New York Excelsior are ultimately in disparate places. The state of New York has gone to full shelter in place, similar to what's going on in California. But logistically, NYXL had not set their players up in such a fashion that they could effectively game through online play in whatever disparate locations they're all set up. Whether it's a gear issue, whether it's an infrastructure issue, whether it's a player location logistical issue, that remains unknown. But they actually shared a tweet that they have withdrawn from the Overwatch League, which, quite frankly, I don't know how you recover from that.
I didn't know that you could do that.
Well, I mean, at crazy times, obviously, with the coronavirus,
Right.
COVID-19 disease. But if NYXL does, let's say, come back at some point, do they suddenly play pretty much 3 matches on every Saturday to catch up to the rest of the teams? I know there's still quite a few weeks to go. I mean, we're looking at 18 more weeks of potential matchups before we get into the playoffs.
Yeah.
So I guess it's possible, and they were able to play quite a few before things really, got turned upside down. But yeah, NYXL is essentially done for the time being. So I apologize for all of you Excelsior fans. If you need someone to support the Vancouver Titans if and when they play another match, we're more than happy to have you come on the bandwagon.
We're also blue, so
yeah,
it's easy.
The other team that's shaking things up is the Seoul Dynasty. So it came out on Twitter today. Now, I'm a little skeptical from a timeline perspective, but the schedule seems to support it. The Seoul Dynasty are leaving the state of California and heading back to Korea. And with that team making that change, that then adds another team in sort of this new, was it Eastern Pacific? I mean, Western Pacific, Asia Pac. I don't know how they're going to change these divisions and conferences, but you have another team going over and to sort of bump the numbers up. You already have the London Spitfire there, the Vancouver Titans are there. You've got obviously the other Asian teams that are there. It's one less team on the West Coast, so does that mean that we're now going to see Houston shift over in, who knows? All we know is that the Overwatch League has released a schedule for this upcoming weekend. They've released a schedule for the following weekend, week 10, and we know nothing beyond that. So we will make sure to update you when we learn, whether it be through social or through a future podcast episode, or possibly if we live stream this again. Maybe here on Twitch, Facebook, Mixer, Periscope, I don't know. Periscope. Justin TV still existed. We'd be on that too, even though I know it's Twitch.
On your teletext?
Yes, it's totally teletext.
I was going to say, Seoul's really copying the Titans strategy. If you just keep moving from place to place, we can stay undefeated. So
it's big brain thinking.
Works.
I like where they're going.
Where are they going? And when they're going to stop?
Yeah, nobody knows. The other item that's taking place in the world of Overwatch, not so much the Overwatch League, but Overwatch itself, is Echo has been adjusted already, but has now moved into full PTR. Voice lines are there. Overwatch is promoting Echo skins, which I don't recall them doing that for a hero going into the PTR. It's like a moth skin.
They did that? I didn't see.
Yeah, they shared a tweet today. It's like a moth skin, and Echo now in the PTR. So that leads me to believe that she's pretty close to being pushed to live, which, I don't know, maybe next week? Maybe 2 weeks from now? Hard to say. She's also going to be
that's nice.
the last hero in the game of Overwatch as we know it. There should be no new heroes until Overwatch 2 were to come out, presuming there's new heroes in Overwatch 2. But I'm going to put money down, and I'm going to suggest that Overwatch 2 could be here by the holidays. And when I say holidays, I'm talking, the sort of November, December months, which... obviously things are up in the air with everything that's going on in the world today. But if it were to occur, that means there's a whole lot of gaming going on. You've got the new PlayStation console, which is still aiming to be out for holiday season. I know Microsoft is looking to push out the new Xbox around the same time. And being that you have new consoles, wouldn't you want to have a new game come out when there's all this gaming hype and try to be that game that you need to get on all your consoles as well as your PC? I'm not knocking, us PC players.
I was actually going to go the other way on this, so I guess I'm taking that bet. We'll have to decide what we're playing for, but I actually think that Overwatch 2 isn't going to come out this year at all.
Well,
that's my train of thought. How I speak. Yes, train of thought is that because like everybody's productivity is now delayed, and honestly speaking, at BlizzCon, I felt a little bit forced that they were showing that it wasn't even a beta; it was like an alpha version of one of their maps at Overwatch 2. That now they're full. Yeah, like now they have full excuses to just extend it beyond this year and go, oh, we're gonna just take a couple of months longer because we were delayed by COVID. Blah 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 blah. Not blah, 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 but it's a solid reason. And now they're going to push it back because I think there was momentum dying off of Overwatch, and Overwatch 2 was kind of this kind of injection of hope. And that's why they needed to put it at BlizzCon last year. But it didn't look anywhere ready. They only had like 6 characters you could use. Like they were using like Helvetica fonts left, right, and center. Mm-hmm. It just didn't seem polished. So I don't know. That's my theory, but yours is also valid. So we're gonna have to take this up.
And you know what? Maybe we do need to put something on the line. But the position that I was in prior to sort of seeing things sort of fall into place over the course of the past week was very similar to you. I mean, we think back to BlizzCon, and when asked, "Oh, how close are we?" and we're not soon. We're not even like Overwatch soon or Blizzard soon, which is, already long in itself. But then if we were to consider that Echo is the last hero to be released, it's possible we might see a new map, I guess. But can the game itself survive a content void for that length of time?
Yeah, I'm leaning more towards you, Chris. Despite that beautiful big old 2 in the logo, Overwatch 2 is essentially a big glossy repainted game. So I don't think it's they don't need to reinvent the wheel. They just need to bring in a bunch of new content and nice lighting effects. So the game was done for a while. It's just that those additions that they need to implement and incorporate the netcode and all that stuff sorted out. And I'm sure that they're already play testing it for months. It's just a matter of how much content are they willing to push out with the game. Because I know that like the rumor was that they're gonna push out like either 4 new characters with Overwatch 2 and a bunch of new maps and all that PvE content. So Overwatch is really in dire need for that, injection, like you said. So they need to come out with it sooner rather than later, and I think it's going to be aligned with the holiday season too. It's going to be very close 2021. My bet is on the end of 2020.
Or we're all talking about Valorant this time next year.
Which Valorant servers are going live right now. In fact, there's a lot of content creators who are saying a lot of the same things. Semler on Twitter sort of pointed it out. He's not the only one, but had a chance to see this. Looks real cool. Plan to share more about this in the near future. So the reason I mention this is that we have seen this done before. Like Apex Legends is a great example where almost every major content creator out there was playing this game leading up to its launch, and it just launched suddenly. And then after a period of time, a pretty defined period of time went by, all these content creators went back to their other titles, whether it be Fortnite, Battle Royale, Overwatch, what have you. And that was because EA ponied up a little coin to make that magic take place. Could Valorant doing something similar? Very well could be, and I'm not trying to take anything away from it. I've not seen enough of it yet. But if I'm Activision Blizzard, I'm paying close attention to what Valorant might be. I mean, if it is the blend of what we know with Overwatch, with sort of a gameplay style more akin to CS, I think there's still space for Overwatch, and they're not at that point true competitors in the sense.
Tell you what, here's what I'll propose. If Overwatch 2 comes out before the end of this calendar year, I will do an entire podcast dedicated to the Defiant. I will watch their games, I will review their plays, and I will make
I hope
pleasant comments.
I hope our friends from CA Overwatch are currently watching this right now live. We're tuning into this episode after the fact to hear you say that.
Just clip it. If anyone's in chat, just clip it.
But if it doesn't come out this year, we are going to do an entire episode dedicated to basketball. And you're going to have watched the games.
It's a win-win for me. I'm good.
We're going to have to watch the games. Just like we run through these matches, we're going to run through the Knights games, and you're going to have to comment on it.
Fine.
So maybe that will be a bonus episode, presuming we're back to normal life and we have regularly scheduled Titans. We'll fit that in. So this is going to be a long-term bet.
Okay, I will agree to that bet, and I do hope that someone who's watching is clipping that right now so that we have it saved for posterity.
Well, if Overwatch 2 just is, if we're waiting too long for it, they're just gonna drop the hat and announce Overwatch 3, and we're good to go.
Yeah,
I'm still waiting for what's that StarCraft game? Ghost?
Oh,
Ghost? Yeah.
Continue waiting, Sam. Continue waiting.
I got a pre-order, man.
Yeah. Well, here we are wrapping up our usual episode. So again, for those of you who are tuning in live, this is when we start to get into some serious hijinks, as you saw. But for those of you who are listening, as you would normally do, whether it is watching live or listening, let us know what you thought. I mean, is this something that you want to see more of from us at Ready, Set, Pwn, doing this live stream thing? I can't guarantee that we'll be able to do it each and every week, but we'll do our best to try to provide you content. Again, we want to do things a little bit differently, and one of the things that we do is promote ourselves as the premium source for everything to do with the Vancouver Titans. It would make sense that we own the video space. But then you might also tell us, I'd much rather hear your voice rather than see your face, Chris, because you know what? People were right. You have a voice for radio. Now, how can you let us know? Well, first and foremost, those watching live, you're probably letting us know in chat right now. Oh, look, it went purple. That means someone followed us at some point. The other ways that you can let us know is on social. You can find us at Ready Set Pwn on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, pretty much every major social platform. Our website is readysetpwn.com. Now, as far as getting involved in episodes, one of the easiest ways to go about that is to either, one, drop us a text message or leave us a voicemail. Our phone number, that's right, our phone number, which for those of you who are watching for the very first time on Twitch, you might not know what it is. It is area code 604-409-3324. That is country code 1, area code 604-409-3324. Now, if making a phone call or sending a text message is not comfortable, the other way to actually get in touch with us is to head to voicelink.fm/readysetpwn. That is voicelink.fm/readysetpwn. If you drop us a text message, or if you happen to leave us a voice message, whether through voicemail or through VoiceLink, depending on the content, I'll try to work it into a future episode. And I have to say depending on the content because we try to keep ourselves a little bit family friendly here. So depending on the language you might use, that makes it more difficult. And the other thing that I ask for our listeners to do each and every week is to drop us a review. Tell us how we're doing. One of the easiest ways to drop us a review is in whichever podcast app you happen to be listening to us in. They might have a review option. Give us some stars. Give us a rating. Give us a qualitative comment or two. Tell us if you like, us or in a particular host. Or if you like the fact that we've got a cat. Which I'm sorry for those of you who are listening to this, but Omni's cat has made its self-appearance.
Yeah, we're gonna use them for hero bands for maybe an episode or two.
But one of the coolest ways that you can actually share a review and rating of our podcast is by going to podchaser.com/readysetpwn. Head there. Drop us where you can review particular episodes, you can review the actual show, and the rule is, leave us a review, I read it verbatim, next episode, or at least an upcoming episode. It sort of depends on timing when it comes in and all that.
Should we start doing podcast host bands?
Yeah, we do. Maybe that's something we'll have to do, because enough people give us reviews. One final thing I will mention, and this sort of comes in last minute, is our friends at the High Noon Podcast did a March Madness bracket on Twitter. You had the Western Conference versus the Eastern Conference, all the teams. Somehow, the Vancouver Titans got the 10th seed in the West. I still don't quite get that.
Unbelievable.
But, the force of nature, we Vancouver Titans fans, we rallied together and got the Vancouver Titans through to the final. We matched up against the Houston Outlaws, which itself was a battle. For some reason or another, those Eastern Conference teams, whether it's the teams themselves, whether it's their supporters groups, or just the fans, they just rallied and voted. Today's battle was a slobber knocker, and it came down to like the final few minutes before the Houston Outlaws did successfully beat the Vancouver Titans in this High Noon podcast March Madness bracket. Though I won't claim hijinks.
Rigged.
The Outlaws were offering skins to like 30 people if they happened to win. Like the team itself incentivized their fans.
How desperate
to rally behind
you
it.
gotta be to do that, eh?
I'm going to give them credit. I wish the Vancouver Titans would have done that. I mean,
Hey, come on, just watch the games and you get the skins. Oh, wait, you can't.
I was just going to say, I would really like some skins. I've been watching a lot of games. Way too many Defiant matches for my liking.
So any final words of wisdom you wish to share with all of our listeners and those who are viewing us live right now? Sam?
So a couple of things. First of all, shout out to our buddies at the Joystick Club. Taylor Jacobs, his dad's pretty sick with COVID, so we just want to send our prayers out to him. Hope the best for him, and everybody in Seattle is staying safe as well. Second thing, we did get a comment. Michael, our good friend Michael, says, "Damn, Chris, you lost a lot of weight." So yeah, you're looking sexy on there. The first part is his, second part is mine. And just some final thoughts for you guys. I know we're now in week 2, week 3 of quarantine. So here's a tip for you. When you're feeling bored and you're feeling dead, you can always try to shave your head. Look what I just got today.
Oh my. Nice.
So for those of you who are listening, he held up a razor, like a electric razor.
Dude, I had to fight for this razor, man. They're like sold out.
Oh man.
Like haircuts are going to be a thing. Like you can't go and get your hair done, so it's going to be a lot of people watching YouTube and then
look
either
at my head. It's
I'll ship my razor to you afterwards.
like I keep my hair short and it's coming in nice and good right now. And for those watching on the stream, you can see there's a whole lot of gray that you don't normally get to see. Anyhow,
I don't know. A lot of Titans followers are obsessed with the man bun, though.
I don't have enough hair back here to do a man bun.
You're playing too much comp now, Chris.
Omni, what final words of wisdom do you want to share?
I am most definitely wearing pants right now.
Oh gosh, I'm so worried. Please don't stand up. Oh man! As for me, this has been fun. I know we did it sort of last minute. Like I was like, "Hey guys, this is something you want to do." Omni's like, "Yeah, let's do it." Sam's like, "Okay, fine." And I had fun. I mean, hopefully for those of you who are tuning in live, enjoyed it. Please let us know what you think. Do you want us to do more of it? Should we do it for special episodes? We'll see what we can do. For those of you listening, if you're like, "Oh my God, I really wish I could have tuned in," well, there will be an opportunity at some point down the road, I can assure you. So please let us know your thoughts. If, again, you're looking to find us on social, we're at Ready Set Pwn. Our website's readysetpwn.com. If you want to email us, it's feedback@readysetpwn.com. And as I had shared earlier, phone number 604-409-3324, voicelink.fm/readysetpwn, and reviews and all that jazz, podchaser.com/readysetpwn. So on behalf of myself, Chris at Lightforce, Omni at OmniStrife, and Sam at Another Sam Chan, I'm going to sign this episode off with those magical 2 words, catchphrase!